measures. The managing director of Paragon Trust Company and tax and private client practitioner joins us to bring a common sense approach to money in a world of total insanity. Let's welcome Tony D'Angelo.
Right here with me in the studio, the great Tony D. He's got a huge following, growing every day on Twitter. He is our official sideline reporter if we get any video for our go-kart race. But Tony, good morning.
Good morning. Proud to be among everybody, Lee Elci.
All right, so we're calling this Planning Ethics Unethically.
Yeah, and you know something? There's a nice girl that lives in my building, Kathy. I talk to her every once in a while, and I'm walking out. She says, "What are you going to do today, honey?" I said, "We're going to do the governor and ethics." And she said, "Why don't you take the dictionary definition of ethics in Merriam-Webster and start off with that?" How about that? I marry people smarter than myself. So I'm going to read this to you. This is really our jumping off place.
All right.
What is ethics? Moral principles that govern a person's behavior or the conducting of an activity. Moral principles. Now, there's been a lot of discussion recently with this ethics agreement, and the Lamonts aren't abiding with the ethics agreement, and I've taken particular interest in this, as you've known. Now, with every scheme, Lee Elci, you got to follow a timeline. March of 2019, the governor's general counsel says, "We need an ethics agreement." Great. Let's get one started. A little back and forth. We have one in May of 2019. Now, basically, if you're scoring at home, it's Advisory Opinion 2019-2. It's 16 pages. I believe George had mentioned that yesterday. Keep in mind, the idea is that these are public servants and they're supposed to have clean hands. I'm going to concoct a little scenario for you here as to what actually took place in this agreement. As you know, I am a budding radio star. I could dream whatever I want. And my LLC strikes an agreement with Full Power Radio.
Yep.
My picture, all over Colonel Ledyard Boulevard and all this other stuff. And you say, "But we want you exclusively, D'Angelo." Great. Okay. Fantastic. Flash bulbs, champagne, all that kind of stuff. Now, 3 months later, I set up LLC 2 that sets up a deal with me in the center of the state. Mm-hmm. 3 months after that, well, actually, sometime after that, maybe 15 months after that, I set up a megabuck deal where I'm doing something out of state that negatively impacts what I might be doing here. What do you think of me?
I don't think too highly of you. I don't think you're loyal. I know that. You're
going to be hitting that swear button pretty much. Yeah. And why wouldn't you? This is exactly what took place in Nedland. Let's just do a little bit of basics here. In May of 19, and you can find this on, I believe it's page 2 of the agreement, there are 3 Lamont entities, which are bound from forever contracting. The original OKHCFT, the investment partners, and general partners. Now, underline the word general partners. That's important. And the related portfolio companies. Now, not in existence at that time. OKCFT limited partnership, not general, right? 15 months after that, OKCFT 4, the first one was 3, limited partnership, both housed in the Cayman Islands. How about that? Now, technically, in pure technocracy, in my humble opinion as a practitioner of tax and law, no ethical agreement stops these other constructed entities from dealing with the state. And we know they do.
Right.
They come out and say it. And Unite CT. People talk about semaphore. Right. I started with it, way back when. Unite CT. We've got millions of dollars going through here. We'll talk about that next week. No accountability whatsoever. But, it's all housed in these things and nothing really stops them. So,
millions of dollars from where?
Basically, pandemic assistance.
Okay.
Emergency rents.
All right. So, rents.
Rents.
Okay.
Paying emergency rents. We're going to look at that. That'll knock me off my chair.
Okay.
Now, one of two things could have happened here. Either this was concocted way back when to elicit a certain result, or they acted in bad faith. Either way, it doesn't look good.
So, describe bad faith, Terry. I mean, I know what it means, but
Yeah.
I mean, give me an idea of what would constitute bad faith from the governor's office.
Well, I think, basically it's, I'm representing to you, these are my entities, this is what's here, this is all that's going to be transacting, and something, and I'm thinking something else that I'm not putting in this agreement.
Okay. All right. So,
Yeah, I mean, I'm not telling you the truth. I'm not, bringing everything to light. Now, let's look at this. We've got two other things on page 2. This agreement, direct deals, it only locks you out from direct deals with the Old Oak and policies favorable to Lamont or Oak more so than others. Now, what about these other things that have gone on? We've talked about Unite CT, which is in Connecticut Hospital Association. Total cloak, can't really see what's happening. If you can come in through the nonprofit, you could look at it that way. Or the Peasers deal. Think of it this way. And people say, well, you're always talking about Peasers. Well, you've got Peasers. You've got the Pennsylvania Pension Fund. They make a large investment in this Oak for Caymans. Mm-hmm. And then years and years and years, Peasers is having a heck of a time with Securus Technologies as an investment. One writer in the Philadelphia Inquirer said this is a predatory prison phone company. And when it comes time for Ned to do a no bid, I'm going to do this myself prison phone contract, who does he choose? Securus. Is this agreement any defense to that? God help us all.
Right.
I mean, so that's basically it. I mean, there's more.
I know you've got stuff to do.
You like peanut butter. You love Skippy.
Keep going. Keep going.
Okay. There's a term we haven't heard.
All right.
Now, Bob Stefanowski was absolutely right that, Ned is violating statute left and right. He's violating it like a parking meter. The agreement is tissue paper, basically.
Right.
But in the agreement, they mentioned something called an independent intermediary. Kind of a blind trustee. Now, I used to run blind trust years ago. I ran Nick Brady's blind trust.
I don't know what that means. Tell me what that means.
Okay. You are this big, successful businessman, and you're going to the Senate.
I'm going to go become a senator.
You're going to go become a senator.
Okay.
And we don't want you to influence, we don't want you to use your office. So you will give your money to me, and I will manage it, and you will have no idea what we're doing. In other words, blind.
So I trust you with all my assets.
Exactly.
Okay.
I might disclose to you from time to time or something like
other
that.
than the fact other than people who are going into politics that can actually make decisions on that, who would do that? Why would people? I know this is not exactly what you're talking about, but I always was curious about that. Why would somebody give somebody their money and have them run it for them completely blind?
To avoid the appearance of evil, basically.
Okay.
And that's basically it. I mean, it's a value judgment they make. But basically, they don't want to be in a position in public office to say, I did something.
All right. Do people do it that aren't in public office or put in a blind trust?
Not that I've seen.
All right.
Not that I've seen.
All right. I thought that had happened every once in a while, but okay, I couldn't. All right. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to.
No, but that's okay. But what is a blind trust, Lee Elci? It's supposed to be blind.
Right.
It's supposed to be, you don't see a thing.
Right.
If you look at this agreement, the Lamonts get to name their own independent intermediary.
That's nice.
Okay. As far as investments that may come and go, they get to self-certify as to what's good and what isn't. It's not somebody making that decision. That's right on page 5.
Right.
Now, the independent intermediary is precluded from interfering in any of the Oak deals. I mean, people, you want to talk ethics? I mean, this guy is running your state, for crying out loud. Now, this is really something, remember, limited partnership, general partnership. The independent intermediary is the substitute personal representative of each limited liability and trust to benefit the descendants of Ned and Annie, but is not a successor for a limited partnership. Ain't that cool? Oak HC3 LP limited partnership, Oak HC4 limited partnership. Basically, what it comes down to is these big Cayman deals. I mean, they're for the kids.
They're for the kids.
For the kids.
Stock away some cash for the kids. Oh,
so,
man.
in conclusion, I'm just going to say this. What we're looking into, I mean, my opinion, it's public malpractice, for crying out loud. Well, let me just strip away all the technology.
Sure.
Strip away every single thing. Life changes. And the thing is, when you get to like things or deals or, hey, I'm involved in this, a first-year law student would have like, boilerplate language. We use it in trust, including any single thing, whatever the case may be, any claim, any issue, any whatever. None of that is here. But on good faith, something's changing. Hey, I want to be ethical. This isn't what's taking place right now. Things change. People change. Right. I want to make some changes here. Not a blessed thing. We've never heard anything about this independent intermediary ever being appointed. Right. I mean, and listen, you want to run against this guy? I think I gave you the election. I mean,
are you surprised? That's a good point. I know we haven't gotten there yet, and maybe Bob's latest op-ed is a move in the right direction, and he hasn't even announced yet. But are you surprised that more people haven't picked this stuff up? I know. Let me be honest with you. It's complicated. There's a lot of moving pieces.
That's as simple as it gets.
And see, that's you, as simple as it gets. But there are a lot of folks out there who are probably like,
I know, it's
right?
nuts. Yeah.
So, can a politician digest that and then sort of spit it back out where it's simple?
Take it in its simplest terms, Lee Elci. You made one agreement and then you four-flushed something going the other way, having these other parties. I can deal with that. I mean, that's classic two-timing.
Right. Tony D'Angelo, what's the Twitter follow?
Tony D'Angelo 7 at Tony D'Angelo 7.
There it is. Tony. I'm sorry, I interrupted you. I asked you and then I interrupted you. Tony D'Angelo 7.
Yeah.
At Tony D'Angelo 7.
At Tony D'Angelo 7 on Twitter.
Follow him. There's a lot of great stuff that come out of that. Tony, thank you.
You're welcome. Thanks, everybody.